Hi, my name's Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today we're going to talk about modules, bending. So this is an elite module. This is pretty much the way all modules look. Now I had a customer this week who I'm going to give my version of events and I'm going to give his version of events to try and keep it at balance because I like both sides of a story. So his version of events is, so he buys a bow off me about a year ago, Elite Victory. It's kind of like this but different. It's a target bow. And then he buys a 29.5 inch module and he fits it a few months after he things. So he's been shooting the module for quite a time. All right. Anyway, I'm going to attach pictures of his module all being bent over and the damage it's caused, damage to the limb and damage to the cam. So what he says is this module, not this one, but one of these modules like this, was 0.06 of a millimeter too thin, and the module collapsed on the edge and then caused this failure. So it's a warranty. Right, so that's his thing. So yeah, my major thing is to educate people in why problems occur, because if you can educate people in why problems occur, you can minimize the chances of it occurring again. You can never 100% eliminate problems as far as, dry fires and torquing and all that sort of stuff. I have dry fired my bow several times. Knocks have given way, and once I shot without an arrow. Maybe twice I've shot without an arrow. I was talking and I forgot to load the arrow and bang. Sometimes you get away with it, right? Sometimes your knock fails and the arrow drops on the ground at your feet and you dry fire your bow, and sometimes you get away with it, okay? But it's a common thing. I get 2 derails a week and about 1 dry fire a week I've got to fix in my shop. So I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about this customer's views and my views, and just about how you deal with things, right? So, okay, so customer's thing is the module is too thin, okay? Now, cams. So when you derail a bow, often the cam will bend over. So the cam will bend. So if this is a cam, it will bend. So you'll see the cam will be ripped across to the side, or one of these little things will be ripped off it. That's because of the torque. When the string comes off the cam, it's pulling to the side and just rips it off. So it bends the cam or bends the module. Very common, happens on the vast majority of derails, okay? And that's how you know it's a derail, because it pulls across to the side, the string's off, the string's generally damaged. The arrow wasn't generally shot, although the arrow will be on the ground somewhere. Where a dry fire, the arrow will physically drop somewhere in front of you or be shot without an arrow. In that case, the string will generally explode. When I say explode, the peak will blow up. And it looks a little bit different. Sometimes it'll be a derail as well, because when you shoot without an arrow, the string's not torqued. The string will not be traveling in a straight line because you torque slightly, and hence the string will then come off the cam, and you'll get a similar effect to a derail. Okay. Now, these cams are not very thick. Cams generally are not very thick, and they don't put up with much sideways torque. And in my videos I often talk about how big the groove is, and sometimes I talk about the cam having an edge on it to minimize the chance of a derail. Hoyt have done it on their latest bows, and many bows do. These cams will not put up with sideways torque. They will bend. Modules will bend sideways. This is a thin piece of metal. I could probably bend it with my hands, right? But it's very strong on the pressures where the string tracks. So it's very strong along this plane here where the string tracks. And in fact, of all the modules I sell, it's very rare to ever have a failure. Now, I have had failures on modules, and this is where the module physically cracks. So where the cam tracks here, if it's not like in this cam here, if this was to snap off on the end here, this is a pressure point. So if this is not strong enough from this point, it will physically snap off here. There has been a few modules. I would guess with Elite, I've replaced no modules through cracking. None. Zero. I would guess I've replaced maybe 20 modules. Maybe 20 modules in 40 years of selling archery gear. And generally all the same bow. When I say the same bow, the same type of bow, and the same cam. It just breaks at the end. And I think, and I've mentioned that it should be pinned twice or 3 times. So most modules are pinned twice. And I mentioned now in my videos I do about bolting the module in. So it's like got fixing points to stop that occurring. With the Elite, it fixes in here into the cam. So that's really good. And then I've got these 2 points here. That's really good. I haven't had any problems with Elites. Now with some of the others, it doesn't kind of lock in correctly, and then sometimes under certain circumstances that module will snap. Now that's a warranty issue because it wasn't a dry fire and it wasn't a derail. Now, if you ask a manufacturer nicely and it's your first time dry firing or derailing a bow, chances are they will help you out. And especially if the shop is a good shop, and when I say a good shop, nice to deal with, they generally help you out. Generally. So if you're abrupt with people and rude to people, they are less likely to help you out. I'm going to say that up front. So with this customer who's bent his module and damaged his limb, he contacted Elite and Elite didn't get back to him. So he contacted me, and I've contacted Elite, and Elite have said, well, we know we're dealing with this. Again, I'm going to say, be nice. Say, I've had this problem. And if you don't know what it is, say, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's occurred. This is what. Now listen to them about why the problem occurs. It's either a derail or a dry fire. That's the bulk of the issues. Listen to them and be nice. Because they'll generally try and help you because people want to have a good interaction. I don't want to deal with stress. I mean, what did I make when I sold the bow to him? 0. I lost money when I sold him the bow because I sold the bow at a discount because I was getting rid of it. So I made nothing when I sold the bow. So every bit of thing I do afterwards, I'm still losing money on that bow, right? That was not a good transaction for me. And in fact, overall in archery, the margins are so low, if you have a person who has problems, it's just a negative draw. You're losing money. So you want to basically make things good as far as you want minimal problems. So generally, like if I ask a lead and I say, look, I need a new module, look, they would give me a new module. If I said I needed a new cam, they would probably give me a new cam. But if I say, well, look, the guy wants to have postage covered to and from him, he wants new limbs, new cams, and a module because he derailed the bow, that's pushing the friendship. Okay, so it depends on the manufacturer. Okay, so always have conversations. I had a person who derailed dry fired a Win and Win. Win and Win do not make the cam anymore. So they're like, we don't make the cam anymore. The guy said, well, that's okay. So, but now he's out of pocket a bow because they don't make that cam anymore. I think there should have been more conversations there. So I think there should be another conversation. Well, this guy's got a bow. I don't know if he brought it new, maybe he brought it boot, but I think there should be more conversations. The fact that they don't produce those cams anymore is not his problem. Win and Win need to fix that problem. And yes, it wasn't a manufacturer error, it was a user error, but still it would be reasonable that they supply him a set of cams to fix the problem. Anyway, the customer was like, well, anyway, so I assume he's wearing the cost of a new bow, right? Now, when you choose a bow company, so for me, like when Win and Win was like, well, we don't make those cams anymore, and I've got a new sales rep at Win and Win, I'm like, well, that's just not good enough. I will not sell them. I will not sell their compounds because it's like, now that gives me a bad reputation, and if you're not going to back your own product, right? So warranty to me is important. Even if it's not warranty. If they did half price, that would be perfectly acceptable as far as I'm concerned. You educate the customer and they wear 50-50 of the cost. Even if they go, well, we'll sell the item at cost price, that would be perfectly reasonable as well. So always have a conversation with people, try and come up with a good solution, and know that it's a small business. Archery shops are going to be having huge problems. I think over half the archery shops in Australia will close in 2023. That's my gut feeling. They are not going to survive. They're not going to survive with prices going up, with warranties and all that. About half the shops I supply in Australia have already closed. So think about that. In 2022, half the shops I supply have already closed. Not open anymore. They've gone and done other work because they get paid more money. I would get paid more money doing a normal job. A lot more money doing a normal job. So just bear that in mind, and just, staff don't want to have stress. Owners don't want to have stress. Try and come up with a solution that's in the best interests. So anyway, on the Elite module being bent over, I don't know what the solution is because I don't know the complete issue and how it gets resolved. Right? So because the customer's gone, well, this was faulty, now this was not faulty. That's the problem. Because as soon as the customer's like, this is the concrete, I've got evidence, someone saw me shooting. No, someone can see you derail a bow, you derailed a bow. It didn't, these things bending over, that's what happened. And that's the problem, because now we're like at black and white. He's at black and I'm at white. I'm like, well, somewhere in the middle here, if he goes, look, I had this problem, this cam's bent over and this is what I need to fix it. Can I do it at my local archery shop? Because he's near a local archery shop. Can I do it at there? What's the solution? Elite would definitely work with you. I would work with you. But when you're black and white and go, well, look, this is the position, then it's like, well, do we go down the consumer lines and go to consumer court and say, look, this is the problem. Here's the manufacturer's response. It was user-induced fault. There's going to be nothing. Customer wears the bow. Or are we going to go down the line that something in the middle is where we're going to settle? It might be Elite will replace the module and he'll be happy. I mean, if that's all he needed, a module, because his cams are okay, but I don't think that's it. Because the draw stops are busted, because the draw stops hit the limbs. Limbs have got a nick in it. Look, the limbs would be okay to shoot. From what I've seen, I haven't seen the bow yet because he'd have to send it back. I'm guessing he'd want me to pay for freight. And at me costing freight backwards and forwards to the country, like the bow I've already lost money on. Like I'm not going to keep losing money on this bow. Can't keep losing money on the bow. So anyway, I'm Stephen Han from Archery Supplies. That's a module. Sideways Torque will bend a module, will bend a cam. And that's when you see people say, well, actually like thicker cams, thicker modules. They're saying it because they might have had a derail in the past. Making a cam thinner, making a module thinner will increase the speed of the bow. And that's why companies do it. So the very fast full throttles, the very fast Omnias from Elite have very thin cams. However, they're going to be subject to torquing and derailing. If you torque the bow, the chances are they will bend over and be crushed and the strings will snap and you'll have problems. But on the other side, they're going to be faster. And I know that when I buy those bows and I'm like, well, I'm getting this fast, same as a fast car, I'm getting a fast bow. I don't want to derail, I don't want to dry fire the bow. But if I do, I'm going to be up for some new cams for the bow. And look, cams are not expensive. Well, they are expensive, but not really that expensive. Not for the amount of conversations I've had with this customer already and valuing my time. Anyway, I'm Stephen Han from Archery Supplies. Thanks for watching.